right, so let's get straight to business. The dailies is where we started from today. Before we get to some of those conversations, I think we should start with the Daily Independent. That's the big headline on the Daily Independent has to do with agriculture. Tinubu has taken us back to what we know how to do best. Ododo, that should be the governor of Kogi State. Dedicate Independent Award to Kogi people. State has spent over 9 billion in agriculture. That's his commissioner. So I'm wondering, taking us back to where were we? Mr. Governor.
Was it in the days of Operation Feed the Nation? Because if it was, we have still since recorded lower numbers.
Perhaps we have to read the story to understand where Ododo is coming from, because food insecurity is a big problem in Nigeria. Food inflation is very high. Cost of living is extremely high. People are struggling to survive in Nigeria. So I don't know what Governor Ododo is saying here. So you may have to read the pages of the Daily Independent to find out exactly. But of course, I know a lot of Nigerians would disagree with this one.
Yeah. So context is very important because for him personally, I know he was an accountant and auditor. So he said, what we know how to do best. I was thinking, is it accountancy or auditing? I didn't think it was agriculture. But hey, the taste of a pudding, they say, is in the eating. Yeah. If you're in Kogi State, let us know. Are you back to what you know how to do best? And what is that thing that you know how to do best? Take a look at the Nigerian Tribune. The front page of the Nigerian Tribune has something that will cheer pensioners. And this is what you see. FEC approves 758 billion naira to clear pension liabilities. If you see the state of some pensioners in the country, it just leaves too much to be desired. People who have served meritoriously, a lot of them just doing it for the love of the job and the nation, not thinking about, this will happen in the future, but a lot of them living in squalor. So way to go. We've seen the Buhari government also doing something in that light for pensioners. But you see the explainers, OK's 30 million euros concessional loan to support students' housing project, 80 billion naira for reconstruction expansion of Alau Dam in Borno. Remember that dam that broke, and then we had the flood in the state. 126 billion naira for MRI, CT scanners at OAU, others. FG says US-UK patients now seek medical care in Nigeria. Page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune.
You know, I like that last line part. It's just that it's not contextualized. Are they seeking health care in Nigeria because it's better or it's faster to access? I think the latter is the case here.
And,
so
and should it even be subjected to empirical study
I don't even
in terms of the numbers that we're actually experiencing? They may be insignificant.
No, if it is 2, 3. So the statement is US-UK patients. Anything more than one. If it's 2, it's patients. It's plural.
So for context, that's if we don't believe our country. I believe I would like to come back as a Nigerian over and over. I will never regret being a Nigerian. But I like people saying the truth and not gaslight me. So as much as possible, let's be clear on that, so that we don't create hope and false hope where there is none. So maybe the Minister of Health and all of that can help us put the data together as to the people that are leaving the country as people that are coming back, so that we can look at data and support this. Well, from what we know that getting healthcare, especially from consultants abroad, is quite tough. So they can stay for months if it's not an emergency. But in Nigeria, you can just walk up to a consultant in hours, you get the person.
If you're able to pay well enough.
If you're able to pay. Let's just be clear on what this means.
So you want a balance of health trade. You have balance of trade. Let's know an outflow.
And are they approaching public healthcare institutions or private healthcare institutions? You know that increasingly there are some very compelling investments in that space of private healthcare interventions. So if you go to a public health institution, for instance, are you going to get that fast service and affordable healthcare service, that the federal government is talking about? So we should subject it to, empirical study. I won't trust a government study. I would trust an investigative journalist to approach that and give us some interesting data. But guys, there's also another thing that we may be missing here that we should, highlight. 80 billion naira approved for the construction of the Alau Dam. Remember that dam that broke its banks and released water that led to, flooding serious issue of flooding in Borno State last year. Now, 80 billion naira is a life-changing sum. I don't know, I'm not an engineer, but I believe that we should take a second look at that and see if indeed 80 billion naira is the right sum for the reconstruction of an already existing dam, not a dam that has already been built from ground up but just needs some form of renovation. And it's also coming at a time when the Minister of Aviation has announced the rainfall prediction for the year 2025, and the south has been predicted to have some early onset of rains, and there may be flash floods. So this is a good time to also remind the Minister of Water Resources what is happening to the dredging of the Onyo Dam. We hope that it has gone, to a significant stage such that the people in communities around Ogun State and Lagos are usually affected. Isheri here, for instance, Agility, Mile 12, are not significantly impacted when the rains come again this year. It's a good time to issue that reminder. But what's the next paper saying this morning? Leadership may just be touching on the subject that we'll be expounding upon, and it's this: Ubasani El-Rufai's fight gets messier amid verbal attacks. Of course, this comes on the heels of statements attributed to Governor Ubasani, who said that politicians who are forming coalitions are the same set of politicians that were in the administration last year, and they're not being realistic with the truth. So what exactly is the backstory to all of this? But there's also another story, other subject matters getting our attention on the front page of Leadership newspaper. Poor implementation mars 19-month exercise. That's emergency declaration on food. Government is on serious, says experts. One state government's buy-in, impact not felt. That's ascribed to an expert. So it's been more than 9 months now since the declaration of a state of emergency in the agriculture sector. So what's the impact? We're not feeling it. And then at the top of that, you find crude price instability threatens Nigeria's 36.35 trillion naira revenue projection. Okay. That's about it from Leadership newspaper.
I think let's go to this Nigeria. US, UK citizens now seek medical care. Nigeria says Health Minister Pate, as FD unveils plan for catastrophic health insurance, enhances cancer care, launches $124 million cholera control initiative, approves $12 billion for MRI, CT scans in the hospital. So I think we've spoken enough about this. Ali Pate, Minister of Health, Coordinating Minister of Health now,
and social
welfare. I think it's we've spoken enough about it. Let's have data to support what you're saying. According to Kaide, I like that part. Health. What did you call that thing again?
Balance of health trade.
Balance of health trade. I'm going to look into that statement. Balance of health trade. So let's be clear on whether it's a quality of service or access to service. So we know what we're celebrating, because I know I spoke to a former military administrator some time ago, because I've always been curious to ask that question, Kaide and Bukola. I was asking him, how do you know when your aides are lying to you? Because I feel, I'm not saying Pate is lying to the president, so let's be clear. Because I feel that some aides of the president or the leaders of government, they lie to these people. How does the governor, because how many places can he really be at the same time? What does he really know in terms of everything? He's just one man who listens and is able to make a decision. He will get advice, but decision is up to him. Because I feel that sometimes aides lie to the president or lie to the governor or lie to some of these people.
Or just give you selective data.
Yeah, just give you selective data.
Information.
Sorry, because I've even heard a situation where some aides will print special newspapers and headlines and give to that the things are working.
And that's why it's important for a president to be expansive, both in enlightenment, in education, and in emotional intelligence. And that's why, during the last administration, there was a lot of disaffection about how a former president would tolerate a lot of non-performing people in his cabinet. So it's important for even, the National Assembly to look into the qualification for eligibility, of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, such that these issues are not of concern as far as the cabinet is concerned, those advisors that surround the president.
All right, there's a lot to talk about, guys, but just before we let this go, let's remember that the 758 billion, according to reports, is going to be raised by the DMO through bonds.
That's for the pensioner,
so we're collecting
liabilities.
We're collecting structured basic. It's a structured basis.
I'm sure the pensioners, a lot of them will at least be excited.
I'm happy they are being cleared, but we want to say that we're borrowing to clear.
So we know where the money's coming from.
Yeah, but that's why I use the word structured.
There you go.
So it's time for you to go out. Government is going to float those.
What is Nigeria not borrowing to clear, actually?
President Tinubu's address is at the villa. His Minister of Finance is Wale Edo. Cardoso is the central bank.
We have the revenue component, and then we have a loan component and the revenue component. When we're not able to meet up our obligations with the revenue, we resort to borrowing, and clearly this is one of it. But take a look at Business Day newspaper, the front page. Guess what? Talks about something that we are big on, but somehow we've turned our attention away from it. It's oil, but it's another kind of oil, palm oil. And you see, inside Nigeria's $10 billion palm oil export, Okomu Presco earn over $18 million in exports, exchange gain. Whatever happened to palm oil?
Good question, Kari. I was wondering myself, because the last time I went to the market, the same quantity that I would buy for, a mere 4,500 naira is now about 10,000 naira. So the question is, whatever is happening to Nigeria's palm oil, an insignificant portion of palm oil that is less than 5 liters now goes for 5,000 naira.
Inflation, I don't know how much a barrel of palm oil is on the international market. I don't know the refining process. I'm borrowing from the crude oil technicalities.
So maybe we should tell Governor Ododo, who says that President Tinubu has transported us to...
So these are the things we need to review.
I know it's processed. My uncles, they had this very long palm oil, whatever, in the village, so I don't... Anyway. I won't bring into my uncle's, my late uncle's palm oil.
They don't try to take it to the refinery, or it doesn't go through that process.
No, those days they were better, of course.
We'll take a quick break.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, get our very first conversation, guys. Join us again.